The Utah game started out a little scary, not unexpected. I think the thing that caught me off a little bit off guard, I thought they'd have a little success early because you can't replicate that scheme in practice. And with the 6 freshmen we're playing and all the young guys have never seen anything like that, it's different than what we go against every week. I mean, in most of our games this year, we started off fairly decent. I mean, 6 of 8, they haven't scored. 6 of 9, they haven't scored in the first quarter. We let Utah score with about 50 seconds to go in the first quarter. But they were getting chunk drives early, and I was expecting some of that. What I wasn't expecting, we're making contact with them at about 4 or 5 yards, but we're getting drugged for 4 or 5 more. And it's pretty hard to call defenses at 2nd and 1. I mean, I was expecting to be around 2nd and 5, so that physicality part of it had me a little nervous. We get the interception, which was good for Ashari. I mean, when he's sitting right here, he said, "Well, I just made a great play." I mean, that was something. That great play by me, no doubt. I told him all the time, "Hey, players make plays, so good for you." That was fun. Hopefully over the next few years he'll get a little better at that. But that was good. The ball was the receiver. You can see the ball. I mean, they're both looking up, and I'm glad we were playing at noon because the sun was in their eyes, and I think that had a big to deal with it because Ashari never saw the ball until it bounced off his hands, and then Ashari catches it, and I mean he runs 40 yards this way, and then trying to return it. When we're watching the game film, I'm like, "Holy cow, son! Unhook the caboose. Let's go. I mean, you look slow." And he's like, "Coach, I just ran 100 yards." So that was good. I mean, he finally had some positiveness after all the beating up he's been taking with the PIs and stuff and the catches. So that was good. And then they get the ball again and they drive it down. We actually make a play at the end of the series to hold them to a field goal. Now our offense did a great job. They gave us a 14-point lead. After the turnover, we get the touchdown. So we're up by 2 scores, which gives us a little breathing room. Then they get the ball again and they go on an 80-yard drive this time, and it's the same thing. They're chunking it with big runs, and Coach Edwards, I mean, to his credit, he's awesome. He's great to work for. But he's standing next to me. He goes, "Coach, are we going to be okay?" I mean, he's thinking they're going to rush for 500. So, "Coach, we're going to be fine. I mean, we'll be fine. We're going to do some stuff that we haven't done yet." I mean, the first play of the game, just talking about the speed of it, we got our 2 linebackers and our 10 were giving them a little bit of a cover 2 look with 4 down linemen. The 2 guards pull. They both look this way. The quarterback starts running the power read this way. They both look that way, and when they come back to go play it, bam, all 3 of them get hit in the face. They haven't moved an inch, so I was like, "Oh, God." And that's kind of what I was expecting because you just cannot replicate it in practice. Well, once we finally have some success in a 2-minute drive, we give up 2 big plays, and then we get an interception. Ashari makes a great play down in cover 2, the exact same thing that happened against SC, but we actually make the play. So we don't let them score. And I think a big, huge turning point was we have a 14-point lead. They come back and get 17 and take a lead. Our offense drives the ball right down and makes it 21-17, and then we get a 2-minute stop. We come into halftime, and there's a little bit of some confidence in our boys. It was fun to see because they were excited to get back out there. About the 6-minute mark of the second quarter, we kind of figured this deal out. The physicality has changed a little bit. You can kind of see the line of scrimmages are changing, and we're starting to play a little bit better. So they're excited to come back out. We calm them down a little bit, and I walked over across to the offense, and I told them, offensive line especially, great job. In this day and age, and what we're trying to build here, the team that plays the hardest, the longest is going to win. You've got to be physical, mean, and nasty, and the team that plays the hardest, the longest is going to win. So I went over and told the offense, "Hey, great job. I promise you, boys, they are not going to score. Put them into submission. Just keep doing what you do." I mean, even Coach Lagan, I'm laughing because, hey, I had no doubt we could run for 200 and some yards because they were starting to believe in themselves. And we don't want to be like Utah. We want to be the bully of the block. And so we went over our guys and said, "Look, you don't let them score, we win. We're up by 4. Don't let them score." Well, we let them score a field goal. They came out the first 2 series. They run the ball on first down. They play action, run out second down. They get nothing. Then we run a corner blitz that we should stone a draw play. And we make a mistake, we go outside the tackle, and they get 18 yards, and they get a first down. Then we intercept the ball in the next play. Very next play, then the offense comes in, we throw an interception. So we give the ball to them, we give it right back. And you kind of see a little bit, some of the guys are starting to take charge. They had 0 problem. When that interception went on Manny, they were like, "Hey, we got you, don't worry about it. We're going to get the ball back." We go out, and we go 3 and out, and they punt the ball. The 8th series they come in, the very first play, we'd been kind of passive on what we were doing on first down, so now it's, okay, boys, let's pin our ears back and go. See if you cover them. Well, we send a blitz, and we miss him. I mean, Merlin misses him the first time. He's got a clear shot to the head, and Tyler does a great job. He dunks Huntley. And then he tries to scramble outside, and we got 3 more coming because they were having a hard time protecting, and DeMonte King just wails on him as he's trying to throw the ball out of bounds. It should have been a sack. And unfortunately for the young man, I mean, I pray for him, and I hope he's okay. He gets his collarbone broke, and it might have got broke when he got hit or when he got landed on him. And it was a good hit. That was a big turning point in the game, not only because it changed what they do, but they had tried to run the ball the first 3 series of the second half, and they couldn't, and our guys were starting to feel it on the sideline. All of a sudden, we're being more aggressive. I mean, they came out in the exact same plays the first 2 series, and they didn't get a yard. And that was what I was hoping we'd get about midway through the first quarter, not midway through the second quarter. And then the next 4 series, it was they actually, when the backup came in, they had their most production of that second half. They go down, they get 49 yards, 8 plays, they kick a field goal. And then our offense comes and scores a touchdown. They go out there, we hold them -1 yards, we make them punt. Our offense scores a field goal. They go out, they get -4 yards this time. Our offense gets the ball back, and they go and score a touchdown. I mean, that's a pretty dominating football team right there at that point in the game. They're believing each other, and they're playing good. And we give up 237 yards and 17 points in the first half. We give up 93 yards and 3 points in the second half, up until the last drive. Now, 93 total yards in the second half, but we give them 38 on the 2-minute drive. With 4 minutes to go, we got the ball up 38-20, and this is a great learning point, because we let them complete an 18-yard corner route and cover 2 when we're up by 18 points. Don't jump the 3-yard hitch. Make them throw that. And it was good on tape. They're starting to hold each other accountable. They're understanding who's supposed to be where, and they're playing hard. If you watch, and we talked about, I mean, this when we went way back in the spring, and we run perfect 10s, and every time the ball's thrown in 7-on-7 and it's incomplete, and you see all of our guys sprinting to it like they're running to chase a fumble. And at the beginning, they didn't understand. Well, we get a sack by Lole, and he causes a sack fumble, which I still think is a fumble, but they reversed it. You got 9 dudes running to the football that looks like an incomplete pass. We pick it up and we return it. Now it's starting to be fun. Now they're starting to get it. And then we beat the 15th ranked team in the country 38-20 because we out-physicaled them. We were the better football team that day. That's a really good football team that played here. And unfortunately, now they're going to be without their starting quarterback, who's scary. Zach Moss, I mean, he's a dude now. And as the game went on, his big runs weren't as big anymore because he was tired of getting hit. We had a pretty good tackle on a speed option that dinged up his elbow, and he kept coming, but you could see our guys were feeding on blood. And finally, from the sideline, they were chomping on the bit to get back out there and not let him score. And we got pressured. They couldn't protect because our guys were coming hard, and we had saw some stuff on tape that they'd have a hard time if we could ever get them in that situation. And our offense did such a great job of building the lead when we had the opportunity. The boys finally started to feed off of it. And the last half of that game, the last fourth quarter, was pretty awesome. Glimpses. But there was points of it during the SC. The first 28 minutes of the SC game, they had 41 yards. We're playing like that. Now we're making some mistakes, but they're playing fast and aggressive, and they wanted to get back out there. And then we usually, to that point, we had killed ourselves with penalties and penalties and mistakes, assignment mistakes. Well, we didn't do that in the second half on Saturday, and that was a huge difference. That was the biggest part in not them allowing them to get back into the game.
As the game went on, just their inability to beat you so involved that give you more ability to kind of fire away on them?
You know, the question was, did we, since they weren't able to throw the ball, did it give us a chance to fire away on them? I said that, I repeated the question so I can answer it and actually not get off task. The good part was, if you watch our guys on the outside, Chase and Kobe were awesome on Saturday. Chase had a vertical route in the second half there that he's on top of. He's waiting, he becomes the receiver, the exact same way he should have been in the Colorado game. They don't give up big plays on the outside, and they can protect them, and they hold off the first look. They're going to have a really hard time when we're sending 5, 6, and 7. Now, a lot of our pressures were 4-man pressures. Now, they look like, and if you look at all the Pro Football Focus, we blitz 90% of the time or whatever they say. We don't. Okay, we give them the appearance, we're going to bring 6. We drop off 4, we drop off 3, we come with 4, and Lole was great. They couldn't block him. They couldn't block Lole, they couldn't block Tyler Johnson. So then we had some stuff on the sideline that we actually drew up on the sideline to give those guys, our best players, an opportunity to be one-on-one and make plays. And they did a great job. Now, if we show that same look and they run the ball, well, it's a 6-man front up front. It looks like we're blitzing 6. We're not. They're just playing run. So it was good. We had, but did give them the ability. See, I still got off.
Coach, what's the hardest element for Saturday? Is it the implications? Is it senior night? Is it the final home game? Like, what is
The hardest elements for Saturday, I think it's everything. I think you're going to have, I mean, it's the final game for seniors. You got all their parents and all the stuff that they do at the beginning of the game down on the field. You got all the talk about the Pac-12 South. I mean, all that stuff doesn't mean anything if we lose. So you have to take it one day at a time. I don't think you win games on Saturday. You win games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You give yourself a chance to be successful on Saturday. And they're starting to understand that the way they practice. I thought today's practice was pretty good. Yesterday's was okay. Tuesday practices are usually a little bit slower because you're trying to do some stuff, some new stuff, and you introduce some stuff. Today was pretty good. If they have another good day tomorrow, and now is the time of the year that you kind of cut things back a little bit so that they can be fresh on Saturday, because I think having a fresh football team is the most important. Well, if they can block all those things out when it becomes game time, then you have a chance. Now, I think Coach does a tremendous job all week long, because we actually do things around here that people don't. We talk about those things. We try and educate those guys on what's going to happen. We try and let them know. I mean, it's going to be senior day. The seniors are the most important guys on your football team because they have the most invested. And so everybody has to play to give them their special day. We've been pretty good in this place. I mean, they've been good around here for a long time. I think since 2013, I read a stat yesterday, they're 30-8. Well, we lost to Stanford the other night. We lost the game we shouldn't have. We should be undefeated, but we're not. We're going to have a chance to go 5-1 at home. And UCLA is scary now. They're 2-7, but they are really, really good on offense. They're playing 2 quarterbacks that are really good players. DTR is as athletic and scary as he's just like Tyler Huntley from Utah. Got a great arm, can run the ball. They do a great job with the zone read option. They're putting him in positions that everything is easy. He counts numbers and either hands it off or he pulls it and runs. He's athletic enough, and then if he gets banged up or they need a different brother, they've got Wilton Spate he's a grad transfer from Michigan. Played in 16 games, started 16 games his career back there. Threw over 500 last year's rotating quarterbacks at Michigan, and that's Big Ten football. I mean, that's a really good football player. And then they've got some really talented guys on the outside. They've got Theo Howard and Demetric Felton, and then you've got Joshua Kelly, the running back, and then I think Caleb Wilson, who's the tight end, is the best tight end that we're going to play this year. He blocks on the line of scrimmage. He's physical. He's mean. He would look great in the Sun Devil uniform because that's what we're looking for, a nasty, mean, physical tight end. And Tommy's doing a great job. He runs routes. He gets open, and when he catches the ball, he tries to hunt you up and run you over. He's not going to but he can make you miss. So, I mean, he's scary. So they've got a lot of weapons. They're starting to play really well on offense. The last 4 games, they've been really good. Against Oregon, they run for 296 yards. They had 500 yards total offense. They are turning the ball over as a team, which has really killed them right now. If they don't turn the ball over, they're really scary. I mean, they lose 42-21. They have a punt return go for a touchdown. They fumble a punt inside the 5-yard line, and they get a field goal faked on them. They also turned it over twice in the red zone. I mean, that's a really close ball game that got out of hand because of some turnover plays. So they're a very talented group that we have been harping on our guys all week long. And the good thing is, being a Southern California school, they won't relax. They don't think they're not good. They know the best part of them being 2-7 is it has not affected our kids. I don't think there's a single guy on our football team that thinks it's going to be easy.
Piggyback onto the 2 quarterbacks, how frustrating to as a defensive coordinator staff put a game plan in. I mean, usually prepping for 1 quarterback.
Right, you're preparing for 2 quarterbacks, and how tough is it to put a game plan together? They run the same offense with both of them, which is good. So it's not a lot of different plays. Now, DTR, Robinson is a number 7. He is a very, very talented athletic kid. Reads the stuff really well. I mean, very similar to the stuff they did in high school at Bishop Gorman. in Las Vegas. So he's very comfortable. When Spate comes in, they can do all the same plays. He's not as athletic, but he reads the stuff really good. So if you give him enough room, he's athletic enough to get around the corner and get positive yards. Where DTR might score a touchdown, he's going to get 10 to 11. He's smart, he slides, so you have to be really careful in the way you tackle him. You can't dive in there and take a shot when he gives himself up because they're going to call it. Whereas the other one doesn't do that as much. He tries to make you miss. So trying to get them to do those things right in practice, you can't really simulate that in practice because we don't hit our quarterbacks. You can't slide in practice because it's different. So you have to watch a bunch of tape. And the ones that it's really important to will watch a bunch of tape because we only get to meet with them and we have the 20-hour rule. So we get an hour and a half each day of meeting before practice. And if you really want to be good, an hour and a half ain't long enough. I think we have some guys that are really invested in what we're doing. And I hope, now I get reports, see this whole technology thing, these kids have no chance. They love their Facebook, they love their Snapchat and all that stuff. I get a report every day telling me how much they logged in on their iPad and how much they're watching. They got nothing. It's like it's Big Brother. We can know everything they do. If they look on their iPad at film, I can see what they're watching. I can see how long they spent there. So, do I harp on them? The good ones, the ones that it's important to, and usually you don't have to, because those are the ones that are watching. And we got a couple guys that I don't know how they pass any classes because all they do is watch film, but that's beside the point. They're doing good in school too. Usually those guys, those are the ones that are doing good in school. So.
You have a few seniors who are part of the foundation.
Yes. Talk about what the seniors are getting in the program, yes, especially this year since I've been here. I got here in late December, January, and I met with the seniors on defense first. Because I think, like I said earlier, in any football team, your seniors are your foundation. They have the most invested, they're usually the most mature, hopefully they're your better players because they've been in the program. Well, none of these guys had been in our program because it was brand new. The great thing was, those guys wanted to be successful. I had the advantage of, statistically, they hadn't been very successful on defense here. Where I came from, we were very, very successful, both winning games and statistically on defense. Plus, we had the opportunity to come in here and whoop their tail. And I reminded them of it, too. Don't let anybody forget that. And then it happened again this year. They believed in what we were trying to build from the very beginning. And there was no pushback from any of them, which is very uncommon when you have a coaching change, because a lot of them are used to doing something and they like the way they do it. I told them my vision. I told them they'll never be lied to. I will fight to the very end for every single one of them, as long as they're willing to meet me halfway and fight for me. And that group has been awesome. Rennell Wren started the season out freaking unbelievable. We went through a little lull. In the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty good. And because he's been pretty good the last 2 weeks, we played well. DeMonte King didn't take a single rep in spring. And I had nothing, I had no idea other than tape. Jalen Harvey had played the position he's playing right now all spring. Jalen gets hurt. We put somebody else. I moved a guy over there, and DeMonte came into my office. He goes, "Coach, what's happening?" And I go, "I've never seen you play down a football, son. I haven't seen you. I don't know if you can play or not." I said, "I told you from the very beginning, we play the best players. Doesn't matter who you are. If you come in here and prove," he goes, "Coach, I'm the best one you've got in coverage." I said, "Well, then guess what? Prove it." Well, the very first practice, he makes 3 PBUs and gets an interception. So day 2, he's starting. I told him too, the next morning, I said, "You proved it. Now you're going to play." Well, that young man has played almost every play we played on defense this year. And the one I took him out was probably my fault. It was a coaching error. The deep pass against USC, he wasn't in the game at that spot. Well, shame on me. And so give him credit, because he's probably not the most talented one I've ever been around, but it's important to him. And to be able to play the 600 and some plays that we played and not make mistakes. And I complained about him about 3 weeks ago that I didn't think he was productive enough. And I think he took it to heart, because the last 3 weeks he's been pretty productive. And that's awesome for a senior to buy in and not go the other direction when I call him out. And I tell them all, I'm going to call him out. I mean, I will never make you look bad, but I'm going to tell the truth. And most of the time those guys, they respond to it. And then Jalen Harvey, that young man's done more than I thought he could. Coming over from receiver on offense, hadn't played defense in college hadn't played defense snap since he was in high school. And the first 2 weeks of spring practice, I thought he was going to look good running routes and catching balls for us this fall. And I told him, I said, you know, I don't know that you're making the right choice. And he looked me in the eye and he goes, I promise you I'm making the right choice. To his credit, he's our leading tackler. And he has evolved from day one to where he is now to being two completely different players. Fall camp, he's the 4th team Tillman. UTSA, he starts. Barring he had some injuries in front of him, and it helped. He gets thrown out in that game because of a targeting penalty, so we don't have him for the second half. He comes back from Michigan State, and now Daz is starting. Actually, I think Daz might have started the first game. Daz gets hurt. Jalen starts the rest, and he was still our leading tackler through those first 2 games. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th game, he's okay. I mean, he's making plays, but not making the plays that I expect him to make, and we expect that position to make. Because that position, like I said, it's an awesome position to play because you don't have very many rules. You have to cover a guy once in a while, but when you line up in the box, you just get to go play football. You don't have a gap responsibility. We're not gap control, so that guy gets to be a great football player. That's why Brian Urlacher played it and was, I mean, he's all pro, all everything. I asked him if he wanted, he lives here, he's one of my good friends. I asked him if he wanted to play on Saturday. We'll stick him in a jersey. He's going to be here. So if you see somebody out there really tall, just ignore it. In the Stanford game, the light switched on for Jalen. Completely different player than he had been in the beginning of the season. He had 3 tackles for loss because he's shooting gaps. He's actually starting to get a feel for where he belongs in the scheme. And then he gets the stinger against SC. He only played 13 plays. He practiced last Tuesday. I didn't let him practice Wednesday and Thursday because I said, you know what, you're going to go out there and you're going to get hit the first time by Zach Moss. And I told those guys, we don't need an ambulance out there on the sideline. We should have a hearse parked out there because if he finds you in the secondary, he's going to try and kill you. And he tackled him numerous times. Never came out the game. To be able to fight a stinger now after the game, sucker couldn't hardly move his arm. And he struggled a little bit on Sunday. Well, he came back, and we have a new device on his collar and all that stuff that we're playing with to try and get him comfortable. But he told me again, he goes, I'm playing. You ain't getting me out. This is going to be his last home game. Super proud of that young man because, like I said, from the beginning of spring ball, I didn't think this experiment was going to work because I was calling it an experiment. Well, it's been a great experiment, and he deserves a ton of credit because it's a hard thing to do, and his body in that position, it's not built for it. And he's been really, really good of late. We're going to miss him next year. Now, if we get Tyler Wiley back, that would have been a great combo. So we're going to miss Jalen. We're going to miss all those guys. And if they look back, if this thing goes the way we plan, and we become the most physical, dominant team in this league like we can be, those guys set the foundation. They can look back with a bunch of pride. And if we continue to play good, and we play good and we beat UCLA, then the next one becomes bigger, and that's all because of them. So
you made an allusion there to Cam Phillips in the course of that discussion right there. He's been on the first team some this week.
He has.
Is that, he made that much progress, or is that?
Sometimes we have some young men that don't do things right all the time. Ashari overslept a little bit on Tuesday, so he's been practicing his spot. He's done a really good job. And the great thing about competition, Ashari Croswell's probably practiced as good as he has all year. Because when you don't have any pressure of the guy behind you, you get lazy. The best thing we can do around here is drive competition. And if you saw those two out there in practice today, Cam Phillips made a bunch of plays in coverage. Well, all of a sudden, when Ashari comes out with the twos, he's making every single play too. So it's caused them to get better. I don't know. Ashari has been out now. He overslept. That happens. We practice early. We expect him to be here early. But I mean, they're held to an expectation. Now he's going above and beyond. And if he learns his lesson, he'll start. If he shows up late tomorrow, he won't. Now he was here. They have to be here. We have 7:30 special teams meetings. he was sitting in my office I went to go hand out some copies at like 6, I think it was 6:28, and he was in there waiting for me when I got back. So just to let me know he was here on time, an hour early. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're getting the message across to him, and our expectation on defense is going to be they do everything right all the time, whether it's running to the ball, whether it's going to school, whether it's showing up on time. And the good thing is they're manning each other. And I had a couple guys ask me, like, Coach, are you sure? I mean, look, he gonna be okay. Hey, you guys put the pressure on him to get his tail here on time, and they are. So that's positives going in the right direction. Then you have a chance to be really good.